No, that's what my brain was doing. It was like, ah!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Arms Room. My hat is waving around. Sorry, I got distracted already.
I thought you were having a seizure or something.
Welcome to the Christmas special of the Arm Room. Arm Room. We haven't done this in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, so
He's over there ticking.
It's like,
He's like
short
Christmas, arm.
We got our Mexican hot chocolate here. We're celebrating the right way with our Santa hats. Devin, yours is special. Why?
yeah, it's got the war penguin.
The War Penguin. If you've watched our videos, you've seen it. You know it. Now you can put a face to the name.
Don't you mean whore penguin?
The war penguin?
Alright, so today we're going to have fun with this one today, but we're going to go over the safety rules. Now, I know it's like, okay, you guys have done this before. No, we actually haven't. We've never actually gone through and listed the safety rules like, hey, these are the basic universal gun safety rules. But before that, Eric, would you like to show off?
I gotta reach down.
Meanwhile, Josh is having Tourette's over here.
The arms.
It's my Magpul
So,
beanie.
he got dropped as a kid, but it don't affect him none.
He's over here like, Devin's a whore penguin.
Or.
Okay, so not a firearm, but still kind of fits the
I mean, it can still get the job done.
Fire's a projectile.
Yep.
Ancient firearm.
Ancient firearm.
A precursor
Ancient.
to firearms, in a sense, if you
Yeah.
tilt your head and squint.
It's the super tactical version of the longbow.
This will be quieter than your silencer.
Yep.
No. So this is
Schwack! You just hear that in the woods. I wonder what that was.
just
It's like Rambo. It's a bow, no sound.
That makes sounds. So yeah, this is just diamond archery. I'm not gonna lie, I bought this off a friend, but it's pretty good. I'm still training with it, but it can be used for hunting. And for just for clarity's sake, this actually means it's a compound bow. So there's compound and recurve, and the recurves are the more traditional style. And the
Longbows are the more traditional. Recurves are a little bit non-traditional.
well, aren't recurves like longbow, just shorter? Like the same, it's set up the same way.
Oh, I don't know enough about bows, so I'm gonna just keep quiet.
Yeah, longbow I think is a type of recurve.
I thought
but it's
that
like,
was.
I just work here, so.
I just work.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, he might be right. I'm not sure. But the recurve is the traditional style. Longbow is actually a type of recurve. It's just almost the entire height of a person. And they have a much heavier draw weight. This one, when I bought it off of my buddy, and it's still set to that weight, is about 25 pounds because I'm training with it. I still am trying to figure a lot of this out. You'll notice that in my holder here, I don't know what these are called, so I just call it a holder.
Quiver.
Quiver? Well,
No. What's the one that attaches to the actual bow? Is it called a quiver?
You're asking the wrong human being, man.
All right. Someone put it in the comments.
It's like, do I look like Robin Hood to you?
No, but he does. Especially with the elf ears.
yeah, I had to wear the elf hat of shame.
He didn't bring one, so I made him wear the elf one.
Hey, in my defense, I tried, but they didn't have them in stock. So
He did.
So, funny thing is, I actually tried to bring an elf hat for Devin, just as a practical joke.
He's our.
So,
Go ahead.
So, anyways, but yeah, so very simple. It's very nice. You'll notice though, like I was saying in this holder, I'm missing 2 arrows because I may have fallen out of practice with this thing, and I may or may not, but definitely did, have accidentally shot 2 arrows into a tree stump.
I bet you didn't get those back, did you?
I got the shaft back, but the tip is still stuck in the stump.
No comment.
Here, you want to hold it? So these are the
Those are-
arrows.
Those are practice tips.
Why are you touching my shaft?
You set that up, didn't you? You sick
Let me see it.
man.
Let me see it.
I like it when you touch my
All
shaft.
right. This is a family show.
But yeah, I think these are called shafts. I'm still learning a lot of the terminology about bows and arrows too. But it's very simple. One rule of thumb:
It's
if you
the
are
stick thingy.
the stick thingy, that sounds like what you name it.
What's brown and covered? What's brown and sticky? A stick.
This is a family-friendly show. This is a family-friendly show. This is a
Anyway.
family-friendly show.
Keep telling yourself that.
Oh, I am.
Because if not, we're gonna get canceled.
Yeah.
No, we won't.
My answer was a lot worse.
Moving on.
But yeah, rule of thumb with bows: if you are new to them, never dry fire them, because the way the way it works is, as it's strapped to here, it's all the way pulled back. This goes forward. The string will actually vibrate a lot, and when you have an arrow attached to it, it actually doesn't vibrate. It just fully transfers the energy to the arrow. But if you dry fire it, the vibrations will be all taken out on the string, and you'll end up loosening it, and then it'll eventually snap. So, but sorry I couldn't have elaborated a little bit more on it because I don't know too much about bows. I'm actually trying to learn, but this thing's fun, and if y'all gents want to take a whack at it,
You should totally take that hog hunting.
I want to, but for that you have to set it to at least like 60 pounds.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Grow stronger.
well, that's why I'm doing that. Now, one more tool. So this is actually for firing the arrows.
Trigger.
It is actually. So you attach it to your wrist. I have to pick the bow back up.
Fancy.
Yep.
I've seen archers that have the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then I'm
Usually
holding it
professional ones.
Yeah. Well, some of them actually have ones where you hook it up and it's just a bar, and it'll release at a random time, so you're not like pulling it off target. So it's, kind of like surprising to you.
Oh.
Interesting.
But I like these ones because I like this right here because if you know anything about like firearms, if you've been watching the show, it's like a trigger, so I can actually control when it goes off, and then if you just apply the same mechanic to it, you can actually do a slow press and slow release to where it won't you won't hold off target too much.
As a kid, I used to make my own bows.
Did you really?
Yeah.
You made your own bows?
Yeah, my dad taught me how to do it.
I learned how to make one with fishing line.
We used just regular rope.
Yeah.
Springy rope.
Oh, wow.
I was shown with a fishing line.
Mm.
Didn't really work too well.
All right, well, that's our show and tell project. So in the pursuit of keeping you guys safe, right?
Yeah, especially since it's Christmas and
Christmas
a lot of people are becoming
100%.
getting new guns and becoming new gun owners.
Yep, 100%. We want you guys to not only adhere to these safety laws, but every firearm guy, everybody that does firearms knows these things. Whether they follow them or not is another story, right? Like, if you're going to be a firearm person, if that's what you choose to do, you're going to be the person who goes to the range a couple times a month, whatever. For us, it's more like a couple times every other month. But
right now,
Busy people.
Yeah, busy. Ammo's expensive. If I could, I'd go every week. Shoot.
Yep.
But
I'm going Thursday though.
Are you going Thursday?
Yep.
lucky.
Yeah, must be nice.
Yep, it is.
This guy's off for 3 weeks because
Hey.
he's a professor.
Hey.
I hope you get hay fever and diarrhea at the same time.
Wow.
Wow, that was violent, dude. I thought he was gonna say, "I hope you get hay fever and die." I was like, "Wow, that just got very dark. We need to have a therapy
Well, I mean,
session."
my troubles would be over.
Dang. All right, so Devin, since you have been a firearms instructor before, you have gone through these, you have taught people these.
Yep.
We're going to all go through them, but I want you to kick us off, good sir. I want you to start with the number one, which, by the way, there's 4 basic universal safety gun rules.
Yeah,
okay?
now things get
4.
expanded and contracted and.
I literally have it popped up on my computer. This person has 13 or 17 or
Which
something like
which
that.
I guarantee you we might go through those, just kind of see how many actually get condensed
Yeah.
into these 4.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people will do that. They'll we got to do all
Expand
of these,
on
but
it.
then it's like, well, that's if you just do this, all of those are part of that.
Yeah.
But I digress.
SDI
So
has 10.
so
SDI does have 10.
yep. For
Good call. I should go on their website since I'm a student there.
so I guess I'll start off with the first one, the first common one, most common, and it's probably the most violated one in all reality.
100%.
Is to treat every firearm as if it is loaded. All right. I usually break it up into actually 1A and 1B. Treat everything as if it's loaded, but then also clear every firearm you handle.
Right.
All right. Because one thing I always get annoyed with certain people that they get like there is such thing as hyper safety, and that can be just as unsafe as just regular safety. To the point where people will be like, you can never point a gun at anyone ever, no exceptions. Then what do we expect the military to train? How are we supposed to train? Right? So I have pointed my firearm at plenty of other soldiers in a training situation.
Training. Keyword.
Yes. But
don't go in your backyard, call it a training session.
Right.
You're like, oh, I pulled the magazine out. Bang.
Yeah.
You shoot your best friend because you forgot to clear the chamber.
Yeah, but that's where, exactly. I'm glad you said it because that's always where the clearing part comes in. Before you hand it off to anyone, like if he and I were to hand something off, I'll clear it, and then he hands it, and he usually clears it too.
Yeah.
So they'll have been cleared twice in this matter of a few seconds.
And usually when I hand something off, like he can attest,
you'll clear it first.
I'll clear it first. I'll take the mag, but I'll lock the chamber open and hand it off. So it's got no mag in it, and the chamber's open. So all he's got to do is
now inspect the chamber.
Yep.
Now, talking about that hyper safety, there was a company that they're a training group or training area out in Nevada, right? Mm-hmm. And this area, they call themselves like the Disney World of firearms training. I considered going there to try to see what they knew, right? And so maybe get a little bit of extra certification.
Go in there just like, sorry, go in there like, oh, I'm a newbie. Teach me how to do this.
Right.
And then halfway through, he's like Donald Trump in the middle of a debate.
Wrong.
It's
like, I've been to a lot of ranges. This is the worst one. No, so, well, here's the deal.
They tell me I'm a good instructor. That's not what I say. That's what they say. But they tell me I'm a good instructor. They say I'm the best. I'm the best.
The best.
Excuse me. They say I'm the best.
So anyway,
dead on.
But the funny thing I saw, because I was watching some of their videos of like people who had gone through the training, and they were like students and whatever, and they were just explaining, this is what I was taught and how I do it, right? And they definitely took it to a little bit too extreme, to the point where I remember. So apparently, you're supposed to, according for them, that you pull the way they did it was really weird. But like you're not allowed to, like for me, I'll either grab behind, pull it, or do a little thumb check. Right? They cup it from below. Like this is the hardest way to do it. Under. To pull it, it's like there's not a whole lot of leverage in comparison to that.
I always go over top.
Yeah, I always. Over top is way easier, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
You're using a lot stronger muscles in that direction, right? But then they also, when they lock it to the rear, they observe it, but then they also literally place their finger into the chamber.
Oh, see, I was actually wanting to address that. I was trying to let you finish.
Yeah.
So that's something that SDI taught.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it started from that company or if it, because every video they showed making that point was from Glock.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I'm over here like.
Well, Glock is from Austria, so.
Yeah. This whole time I'm standing there like this makes absolutely zero sense. Why am I gonna?
Right.
Because like
I can obviously see that there's nothing in there.
Right, and the thing
my finger's not going to reach far enough to see if there's any obstructions.
Yeah, and the thing is that firearms are very precise, and they are cut very precisely. The chambers are designed for a very specific size and length.
Yep.
If something smaller is going to go in there, that will fit and fire, I will see the butt of the primer or of the casing.
Yep.
Yeah.
If it's too small, it'll fall through the barrel. If it's too big,
It won't fit.
It won't
It'll,
close.
it'll fall out when you
Right. So
pull
the
out
greatest danger that is there is you inspecting the chamber and then that slide stop failing and cramming your finger, and there are going to be a lot of unchristian words coming out of my mouth as I'm flinging the gun everywhere across the room.
That is what you call slide bite.
Yep.
So there's a term for you if you didn't know that. That's called slide bite. Or slide bite also happens when you're firing and the slide goes over the top and eats the fatty part right here.
Actually, you know what the worst slide bite is though?
What?
For it's new firearm users
Yeah.
who put their thumb over their other thumb instead of right here. They put their over,
and the slide
and
goes back.
it comes up and just smacks their thumb.
Oh.
I cannot tell you how many times I have told a new shooter, don't put your thumb there. Don't put your thumb there. And then it is weird because it's like I'll literally they'll be holding it and then they'll put their hand over and I'll grab their thumb, put it back, like no, put it back. But then right before they shoot, they go, whoop. I'm like, and then they fire. And I'm like, well, that hurt.
Slide bite. It's like, well,
Yeah.
I tried to prevent you that.
Although it's only happened once that I've had to actually render first aid on it being really bad.
Really?
Yeah. The other times it's just like a little small cut or scratch or whatever, but it hurts because it moves their thumb out of the way.
I've had slide. I've got like meaty hands, so like I've gotten slide bite before on when I first got my 1911. And it doesn't make any sense because it's a 1911, but it's a 1911 clone that doesn't have the super defined like beaver tail on it.
Oh, okay.
So it's just got a little bit of a yeah.
Does it make that sound too?
Yeah, it's one of my ticks.
Interesting.
So when I was firing it, it would hit the top part right here, and after about a box of 50, I'm looking down at my hand, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna need a Band-Aid. Anybody got a Band-Aid? Because it wasn't like bleeding, but it was all scratched up.
Yeah, it was bad enough.
But I've got like a muscle right there, so it's just like smacking the top of it. It doesn't feel good, not at all.
Yeah.
I trained a buddy of mine actually and showed him how to shoot firearms for the first time, and he actually shot this one right here, and he loves it. But when I walked him through the steps and everything and like how to do it and was letting him shoot, he had this bad habit. Thankfully, I was able to check him every single time before I went back, but he would take his thumb and he'd stick it straight up and put it on the back of the slide.
Ooh.
Like pressed up all the way like that.
Oh,
I was like,
why?
I don't know. It was like he, for some reason, naturally felt comfortable there, and so in the range of having to be like, hey, check your thumb.
It's like,
and he's like,
yeah, it's like, he ain't gonna be feeling comfortable in a moment.
No,
your thumb's gonna bend backwards, you know?
No, the slide wouldn't even cycle.
I think
it'll definitely move it.
If you put enough pressure on the back of that slide, it's not going to cycle. You'll get one off, but it ain't going to cycle.
It might not. Well, it won't cycle fully, but it'll still push his thumb back.
Because
Yeah, it won't go. It won't go all the way back because obviously there's something behind it.
Yeah.
But it's gonna go back enough to where you'll feel it.
So you just basically turn
It'll go about halfway.
15-round magazine into a single shot.
Yeah.
this is 10 rounds.
You don't have the special mag. That's right.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah.
Now to kind of come full circle on the actual rule, there is one other thing that I like for when I would
Too spicy?
Nope.
when I would
I
talk
can feel it.
when I would talk to my students,
Yeah.
anyone who I'm training, it would be to always keep your firearm downrange.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, and that's a key thing even in the military. It doesn't matter.
That's kind of going to come up on the third point.
Right. But it kind of ties in with the always treat it as if it's loaded, so you always aim downrange, because if it does go off, it won't be going all over. So anyway.
All right. So number 2, I'm going to tackle number 2. Eric, can I use your firearm as an example, please?
Yeah.
And I know it's loaded, but you're going to see his process right here.
Right.
Strip the mag out.
Can I do that on camera for YouTube?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, for this now they changed it out of it.
Okay, so this is for educational purposes only.
Yep. So it's a loaded firearm. Notice where the muzzle is. Alright, and then I will inspect, hand it off to him, like that.
And anytime someone hands me a firearm, I always recheck, even if they do it right in front of me, because you could have missed the fact that there was a round stuck in the chamber or something, but the round popped out, so you don't have to worry about that. But as a habit, I still check the firearm. So,
and just so we're clear, the reason why that one's loaded is because that's a
that's
EDC.
Yeah, that's a personal carry.
So I'm ready at all times.
Rule number 2. Keep your booger picker off the bang hook till you're ready to go pew pew. Or, if you're not a gun person, keep your finger off. You nasty little worm. Whew. For those who don't, I swear, if you actually put a booger
I didn't
on
actually pick my nose.
But it'd been a lot cooler if you did.
Okay, hold on.
Stop it! Don't give them ideas. Alright, so keep your finger off the trigger until you are on target and ready to fire. Now, there is nothing, as you can see, there's a closet door. There is nothing beyond that closet door. So, that is, most people keep their finger, I always tell them, high and tight, high and tight. If I see you resting your finger like this, even on the outside of it, I'm going to correct you. Because that becomes a muscle memory, and you just easily slip it right in that trigger guard. So, high and tight on the polymer or on the slide. Never down here close to the... Keep your finger up and away from the trigger at all times until you're on target and you're ready to fire.
Now, I will say on this one,
My bad.
it's acceptable to kind of hold like so, right? Because you're still off the trigger. But this, like Josh was saying, this is natural.
Yeah.
This feels good in the hand, and then it's a simple...
Because you're naturally just pointing, basically.
Yep. And it's just a natural, quick adjustment to the trigger. Now this
Right.
one is completely unloaded, so just for one more time's sake, so I can dry fire, nothing will happen. So, but you get that quick little motion there.
Yeah.
Now, I will do one little caveat.
Yeah.
I actually never trained I always straighten off the trigger, but I never up on the slide or whatever.
Never high and tight.
Mainly because in the military it doesn't matter.
Right.
You want to be fast on there.
Okay.
Now that's sometimes a pretty natural area to be. But for some people with smaller hands, it's almost impossible to get that.
Yeah.
So I'd rather them at least be straightened off,
Yeah.
even in a closer to the trigger, than to naturally curl. Now, interesting little bit of history. The whole straighten off the trigger thing
Yeah.
is actually fairly recent in history. It's only been about 3, maybe at the max 4 decades that we've been doing that. If
Wow.
you keep your finger off the trigger.
Really?
Yeah. So if you look at all the training stuff for like the Army, stuff for like even for a 1911, they automatically put their finger around it to the trigger. They naturally just go into it.
Yeah.
Because they weren't as jumpy and retarded as people are now. But
Hard R.
it's not as like, even if you look at stuff in like Vietnam and all that stuff.
I actually remember seeing a picture
yeah,
that you had
they're-
on your shelf.
Yeah.
A guy who was talking to another soldier is holding a rifle like that.
Yeah,
You know?
he's got their fingers are in the trigger well.
Right.
It is a very common. It's only in recent years, comparably, that keeping your finger off the trigger, and I think it's just because too many people. Well, at the more firearms kind of expanded into the civilian world, and less, but also so the ramping up of fires in the civilian world, but the ramping down of actually training the civilian population.
Yeah. Which was a
started creating more problems. So now they had to add these rules had to come up, and one of them ended up being this one.
Right. Well, the main reason why I don't, the reason why I don't keep my finger on the trigger, man. I mean.
Well, no one should. I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying
No.
It's in recent history that it has happened.
Oh, I mean, just people walking through the woods or people walking down range or something. If you have your finger on the trigger and you slip and fall, your natural reaction is going to be to pull, or
Clinch.
you're going to clinch, and that's going to pull that trigger. You know.
Yeah.
Even.
Hopefully, you're smart enough to have the safety on, but.
All right. Well, or in the situation of like cops chasing criminals down, that's the first thing cops do when they get them on the ground. If they have a firearm, is they get the firearm away from them, because you could flinch. Muscle reactions can happen, muscle spasms, and then you end up getting shot by somebody who's down on the ground who didn't pick it up and point at you and shoot, but he shot because his muscle twitched or something. There's just so many ways that could go wrong, right? So always keep your finger off the trigger, whether it's high and tight or it's just there you go. Whether it's high and tight, just outside the trigger guard, whatever it is, just make sure you're not sitting there with your finger on the trigger or close to it, because you go walking around and someone bumps into you, hey, now you just shot that way, right?
Yep.
Eric, tackle number 3 for us.
So number 3 is never point a firearm at anything you don't intend to destroy. Now, this one's personal to me because I actually do have a story where I applied this rule in the other ones, but specifically this one, and it worked out the way it was supposed to work out.
Sweet.
So once upon a time, a few years ago,
before SDI, before
SDI,
gun training.
Yep. I actually did have a negligent discharge.
Mm-hmm.
Guilty.
And I think we've all had one.
Have we all? Yeah. Okay.
Because it was purely accidental, and it was negligent. It wasn't accidental. I thought it was accidental, but it turned out to be negligent. For those who don't know,
is there a difference now?
Yeah. So accidental discharge means like some type of like mechanical failure. So it's purely beyond your circumstances as to why the firearm fired.
Like a slam, like if you drop a shotgun and it fires.
Something like that. More like
that's not a
more like the retaining pin or something isn't keeping the striker back, so it accidentally. Like, for example, the SIG actually had to issue a recall on their P320 models a while back.
That just came out. That was a while back. A couple months back.
Yeah, that was like 2018.
What would it be called if, let's say the bolt's locked back, right? The magazine is pulled, and then the bolt drops, and it's an open bolt. So it drops and sends a round down range. What would that be considered?
So if
there's not a magazine, it wouldn't send a round down.
So what happened was, it actually. So as I was pulling, this actually happened to me.
Okay.
It was an Uzi. All right. So I had it charged back, and Uzis are very similar to 1911s, where it has that back safety.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm holding it, got the it's pointed down range, obviously. And as I was, I guess it wasn't charged, it wasn't locked all the way back, because there is like a half cock that you can do, and I guess it was half cocked. But I was pulling it out, and as I was pulling it out, it was about a good way, but the bolt was large enough to where it picked up the round and sent it down range.
Oh, dang.
It was like just at that right angle that it could send it down. So it did.
So
pick it up.
Still stripped one out of the magazine.
Mm-hmm. It was like just bare. It was right there.
So was it like a mechanical failure, like something on the gun? Because if it's something that on the gun that failed to do its job, like the SIG P320s did, because the SIG P320 is Milwaukee Police Department in Wisconsin.
Although I do think the safety the rear safety might have actually malfunctioned, because I don't remember actually being on that safety because I had it slightly. I wasn't like gripping it. I was more kind of loosely holding it and grabbing it. So it might have been a malfunction on the safety itself.
Right.
And it just happened to. So it's just. I guess what I'm saying is that I think there might be a gray area between the accidental and negligent.
There can be.
So I think a lot of depends on what firearms they are.
Right.
Because both times it's happened to me, both the negligent discharges, have been open bolt full auto. Like one was an Uzi and one was a MAC-10.
Right.
So they were both this exact same type of firearm, as far as like the functioning. So I wonder if there's a connection there.
Right. So the best example I could give for a accidental discharge would be, like I was saying, with the SIGs having to recall their P320 models because their safeties weren't working properly and the retention wasn't working properly. So there was I actually saw the security camera footage in the actual police department where the firearm literally went off in the officer's holster. He wasn't touching it or anything. He literally was like talking to a guy. I think they were trying to like pin a guy on the ground or something who was in there, and then all of a sudden, just bam, it went off in its holster. That would be considered accidental. But negligent is when you did not intend for the gun to fire, but it fired because of your negligence. So like you were putting pressure on the trigger when you shouldn't have been, right?
Yep.
So that would be that. Yours might be a little gray.
Yeah, because I definitely didn't pull the trigger.
Yeah, because I mean, but that also sounds more like a failure on the firearm.
Either a failure, or I would classify the one that Devin said as an accidental discharge. But again,
like I don't even care if it is. I'll own it if it was a negligent. I don't care.
Yeah, right. But if you don't violate the rules of safety, a negligent discharge, and I'm not excusing it, so don't comment warrior me about it. Like, oh, you're such an idiot. Blah, blah. Like, I'm not excusing it. But if you're following the safety rules. Never point your firearm, and if you don't. So if you're pointing it down range and it goes off, guess what? It goes off towards the end of the range.
Yep.
Right.
You're good.
Yeah, both of my times went down. Hit one. The first one hit the dirt, and the other one went down into the.
So this is what happened to me, and just to kind of reiterate Josh's point, firearms. I've made this point before. They're some of the safest tools you will ever use in your life, because
they will save your life.
Yeah, take using a table saw for example. If you don't want to get your finger cut off, there's only one rule you have to violate, which is putting your hand where it doesn't belong. Right? With firearms, there are 4 basic rules, only 4, but you basically have to be violating all of them simultaneously for someone to get hurt by them.
Right.
So there are some of the safest tools out there as long as you follow these 4 basic rules. In my case, I was actually out clay shooting. And I still have to hold this one over my dad's head, but we were walking from station to station. For those who don't know, clay shooting is it's actually a lot like skeet shooting. It's almost the exact same thing. The only difference is with skeet shooting, you're staying in the same area, and the clays are very often just flying in the same direction, usually off to the side. With clay shooting, you go to like different windows, almost like you're going like in golf, going to different holes. And then they fly in all kinds of different directions, and some of them even roll on the ground. And so that's what we were doing. We had rented a cart, and we had put our guns on it. We put the ammo on it, and the carts are specifically designed for that. It's not like a shopping cart. And we didn't realize that the bottom of this cart, which was like cloth, was torn off. And only like half of it, though. And so hit a bump, and my shotgun barrel fell through and pushed it all through the sand. And then when I picked it up, the sand had gotten all the way down into the chamber.
That's rough. I
actually had to send that off to a gun shop because I couldn't get all of it out. It was crazy. And my dad was the one pushing the cart. And I looked behind, like I pick up my gun and I see it, and I look at the ground and behind the cart and look, there's just a trail, like a trench being cut by my shotgun barrel for all the way from the previous station. I'm like, well, I think I know what happened. So I had to go and rent an over-under from them, which I love over-unders. Like, I think y'all saw mine already. I love them so much, especially for clay shooting. They're so much fun. We had gotten to the last station, and there was one that none of us, it was like, it would kind of come up and then stop in the distance and then fall back down. So you only had like a hair of a second to actually react to it, and we all just kept missing it the entire time. And I was there with my dad and then a friend of mine. And like, I literally was like, after shooting as many as I was going to shoot at that station, I was like, okay, I want to try that one because I had some spare shells. I was like, I want to try that one just one more time and see if I can hit it. And so I had loaded it into the bottom barrel first because I thought the bottom barrel fired first, but on this one it was actually the top one. And so my dad launches it, I take aim and pull the trigger, and all I get is a click. And I'm like, what? And there is such a thing as a delayed fire where the powder just doesn't catch fire right away sometimes.
Yeah, but that doesn't typically happen unless you're using black powder, though, right?
No, it happens. Hang fires happen all the time, even with smokeless. Yeah. It just means the primer's bad, usually, or slow, one of the two.
Or it's a light strike.
Right, light strikes too.
And so like whenever I do that and I get that click, I will always just hold it there for a second because if it goes off, everything goes downrange. So I held it, and I was like, okay, so it's not a delay fire. So I popped it open, and when you open up over under, it resets the strikers, right? Whether you fire one or both, it resets them it resets both at the same time.
It cocks it.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, okay, so not a single dent in the primer, but I was like, okay, so maybe the pin just got hung up or something. Let me try again. So I clip it shut. We pull. I get that click again, and I go, what is going on? And in that hair second of frustration, I forgot to take my finger off the trigger. But I remembered that my target is that way. I remembered that's, there's only, even though the target's not there because it's a small clay pigeon, there's trees and there's bushes. I'm okay with destroying all that. I got my buddy to my right and my dad to my left. So if I had gone, what? Or, I would have killed one of them.
He would have straight up did the whole Dick Cheney thing.
Right.
Boom!
You just got peppered.
It would have been like, crap, what's his name? Alec Baldwin on steroids.
Ooh. Shots fired.
Literally.
Right. Literally.
But I do want to that actually reminds me of a, so I've actually had a Desert Eagle pointed at me by accident. Well, because so the thing about tourists, when you're training them.
I thought you said Taurus.
No, tourists. Things
Tourist
that we are very familiar with in this area.
But
they should all go home.
Yeah. But anyway, this person, they wanted to shoot a Desert Eagle, so they did. And I, for the briefest of moments, looked behind me to go to check on them, their friends. When I turn around, they're excited, so they turned around to look at their friends too, with the firearm next to them.
Oh, no.
I turned around with a stinking 50 AE pointed straight at my face. I'm like, yeah, let's.
No.
In reality, it was probably more like.
No, that's what my brain was doing. It was like, ah!
That's what his brain did. His body went, no.
Pretty much.
Super calm, cool, and collected. That's Devin.
Yeah, but I can. Oh man, I wish I could tell you just a bunch. We should just do like a story time of like the craziest things I've ever seen in a range.
You can do that
Straight
solo because I don't have a lot of
So,
stories.
I wanted to talk about some statistics really quickly. Just nerd for 1 second here. In 2019, I looked up the statistics, and rifles, those big scary ones that they're trying to get rid of right now, accounted for 364 deaths in 2019.
Okay.
Now, is that broken down to a category of the statistic, or is that in total, like hunting accidents, murder, negligent discharges at ranges?
This is
suicide?
murders.
Okay.
Murders with a rifle.
Okay.
Now, blunt objects, clubs, hammers, etc. 397. More people died by a hammer or a blunt object than a scary rifle. I said that to say also, as far as the statistics go for construction worker deaths in 2019, there were, let's see, I just had it. What was the data in 2019? Okay. In 2019...
CDC should be up for doing their next...
Yeah, they're real trustworthy, aren't they?
They actually are. They're pretty good.
I thought they were the ones that were... No, it was the FBI that was messing with the numbers, wasn't it?
Yeah, FBI is weird.
Okay.
CDC is just hard data.
All right, so in 2019, there was 1,204 fatal work injuries. Yeah, 1,204 fatal construction site work injuries, or fatalities, I guess.
So deaths.
Yeah.
You wanna hear this statistic?
Let's hear it.
So I found this on a place called lawfare.com, but this is according to the CDC, that over about 17,000 Americans die every year from a slip or trip and fall injury.
So you're about 16 times more likely to slip and die than you are from dying from a firearm.
Yep. Because how many people was that per year?
Hold on, I got out of it like an idiot. So you said 17,000 people die annually from
like
slips and falls.
Yeah, like tripping and falling. Like literally crossing the street, hit the curb. Are you freaking kidding me?
And done. Done. All right. This is not the statistics that I was looking at. I was looking at the FBI, which I just sat there and crapped on them, but
It's like they fudged their numbers. I'm gonna use them.
Okay, so let's use CDC. I just gotta find it.
That's what I always use.
I gotta find it. So it was let me see. These are.
It's like, what's the CUDC? It's the Center for Disease Control. You mean the CDC? I know how to spell CUDC.
Wow. All right, so I couldn't really find it.
The what?
The FB.
The FB.
The FB.
Don't forget the SIA.
The SIA. The NISA.
The what?
The NISA.
Was that NSA?
Yeah.
The FDA.
They're listening.
FDA.
The
All right, here we go. Fatalities.
We hate the aft.
That's the aft.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's the aft down.
So 17,000 people die every year from slips, trips, and falls. Mm-hmm. So in total, all of the here we go. All of the number of people that were killed by a gun. Wow, there's so much numbers getting thrown at me. There's like.
Well, in 2018, which might have been the last year they did the data.
No, this is it right here. Firearm deaths.
Oh, 2019 was last year they did the data.
2019 was
around 15.5.
Around 15.5. That's probably a good number, basing off that chart because it doesn't say. So 15,500 total deaths. Now we read that there was 390 or 360 deaths by rifle, by AR-15 or whatever, by scary rifles. Total deaths, including suicides, including getting shot by a cop, including whatever, all of those all together, everything all encompassing, 15,500.
Which, FYI, just so you know, at least 1/5 of that is from Chicago.
Yep.
Especially if the numbers are current.
Major cities.
Yeah, if those numbers are similar to now, because the last year that is 2019, like Chicago has shot and killed over 3,000 people this year to date.
See, it's rough.
And Chicago has the strictest gun laws in the entire country.
In the entire country.
Yep. A city has more restrictive gun laws than the entire country.
Right.
They also have the most amount of gang violence. They have the most shootings. They have the most deaths by firearm.
Because there's nobody to stop them.
Nope. And it's all gang violence. Which is also the number one proprietor of mass shootings.
Yeah, because they also know that a lot of times... So the thing about gangs... so I used to live in a very gang-heavy town.
Chicago?
No, actually. It was actually a very smaller town.
So not California?
No, this was in Texas, actually. South Texas, though. It was South Texas, though.
Ah.
So we had a major thing with like Crips and Bloods and things like that.
Mm-hmm. So this would have gotten you in a lot of trouble.
Wrong color.
Wrong color.
Has to be a little darker.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, so we would have to learn about like the gang violence and stuff like that, right? But one of the initiation techniques for the Crips and the Bloods is that you would you literally have to go to a place, pick out a target, which means a human, and kill them. Mm-hmm. Just straight up in them. So in places like Chicago, they're a little more brazen about those kind of things because there's no one to stop them. You pull out a gun and everyone's just going to run away and you have your free pickings.
Right.
Whereas in places that are heavier on pro-gun laws, Second Amendment free.
Is that English?
Sure.
Second Amendment free.
Well,
Did you spike this? Like,
maybe.
I did not.
No. So Second Amendment friendly. They will, they're not going to be as brazen about it because they could die, and criminals are cowards. Just flat out, they're looking for that easy out. They're easy targets, regardless of what it is, whether it's murder, theft, whatever. Right? They want the easy way, and so if there's any kind of resistance, they typically not going to bother with it. Now, if they don't know. If you're holding yourself like you're not going to resist, they might still go after you. But if you have the ability to resist afterward, I've seen plenty of videos where as soon as someone hurts them, they turn into crybabies.
Oh, absolutely.
They go from acting all gangster to being everyone wants to be gangster until it's time to do gangster stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then when the person is a little more gangster than them, yeah, it's a bad day for them.
Everyone wants to be hard until it's time to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody want to take a guess? I mean, you can kind of see it. Anybody want to take a guess at what the year-to-date shot and killed are?
Of what?
Chicago?
What?
For this year?
What?
563 shot and killed in Chicago this year alone. Shot and wounded is an even higher number because a lot more people got shot that got wounded and didn't die. 2,443. Total shot 3,006. Total deaths 631. Total homicide, in Chicago. Like, dang.
Wait, how many by a gun?
All of those are by guns.
All of these are by no. Let's see.
What was the number for the guns?
The number for the guns, shot and killed is 563. Shot and wounded is 2,443.
And then total
shot 3,006.
Yeah, but what was the total homicides?
Total homicides are 631.
Okay, so there's a few more that are
not
gun related.
Out of 563, minus 631 minus 563, it's like what?
Just so people know,
70.
Santa hats are itchy.
So this says a person is shot in Chicago in 2023 every 2 hours and 48 minutes. A person's murdered every 13 hours and 23 minutes. And they've got the strictest gun laws. All right.
And what do they do when it goes south? They double down.
They double down. Blame it on outside cities coming in with their guns. It's like, when are you gonna take responsibility for yourself? Seriously.
They're politicians.
Well.
198 headshots. Like, this breaks it down to where they were shot too, and it's funny because they did like the Chicago flag on the body.
That's rough.
That's rough, dude. All right, we've beat this down. Devin, take the last one. Let's get it.
Well, actually, you kind of touched on it earlier when you were talking about the closet.
Yeah.
Basically, it's kind of goes along with the third one. All right, which is the don't always point a firearm, or never point a firearm in anything you don't want to destroy. And this one kind of goes along with that. It's basically knowing your target and what's beyond that target. Actually, there was a story that I had. So when I was going through my RSO training, range safety officer training, to get certified through the NRA, the instructor there doing that, he actually used to be a police officer. And he told us he was talking about this particular rule. And he had to exercise it because there was a criminal that was running away, and he was known to be armed and dangerous.
Yeah.
He had every authorization to end him, but he had to choose not to because there was a little girl. Or he had to make the choice of doing it or not doing it. Unfortunately, he did not see her.
Oh no.
So he ended up, I don't think he killed her, but he ended up wounding her.
Really?
Yeah. So And then after that, he was like all messed up. So he really emphasized this particular rule.
Yeah.
So this is one thing that we like to do. That's like, especially even if you're out on a regular range.
Yeah, 100%.
Always make sure that there's not some idiot walking out there, or even if it's not a person. Actually, sometimes just objects out there can be just as dangerous because you can cause a ricochet.
Yeah.
So let's say if you have like a paper target in front of you, but there's a piece of metal out behind you that you don't even see. Make sure you know that, hey, what's out there? Is it just trees, bushes, dirt, whatever?
Right.
But is it like metal, like is it a vehicle out there, right? You don't want anything either coming back at you, or you don't want to be destroying somebody's property.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and because bullets don't hit the target and stop. They're going very fast, and they travel a long way. Mm-hmm. Okay, they can travel up to a mile depending on what it is.
Well, the 22 can actually travel up to 4 miles if it's unhindered.
Yeah, unhindered, yeah. It's pretty rare for unhindered stuff in the world, but technically, yes.
Sorry, I'm reading the statistics on the Chicago thing, and it says shot in the butt-o-meter, 120 people.
Shot in the donkey-o-meter.
Yep. 120 people year to date have been shot in the rear.
Okay, 46 year to date been shot in the jump.
I wonder how many of those were collateral.
Selfie meter? Oh my gosh, that's a...
Oh, that's exactly what he's talking about. That's a ricochet.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Selfie. It says selfie.
Is it, or is it? Oh yeah, it is.
Look, it shows the bullet bouncing. Dummies.
Yeah, so...
Selfie!
Yeah, don't
do that.
Please don't.
And please don't do any internet challenges.
Oh my gosh!
Speaking of
Don't do that. All of those are stupid and intend for people to laugh at you.
You ever seen those videos? The newest firearm internet challenge. First of all, like he said, don't do the internet challenge. Specifically, firearm internet challenge. Don't do them.
Please don't.
I was alive for the
Desk pop.
Yeah, the what's it called? The tablespoon cinnamon challenge.
Oh yeah.
People died from that. For some ungodly reason, the Tide Pod challenge became a thing. And
Hungry? Need a snack? Eat a Tide Pod.
Yeah, y'all's IQ was showing it. But the one of the dumbest challenge, in addition to the Tide Pod challenge, was the one where people will take a loaded gun and then press it on their crotch and just play with the trigger.
Oh, I remember that one.
I actually seen a video.
Like
of the guy.
sit there and bounce the trigger until they get to the wall, but not. So, for those who don't know, when you pull a trigger, there's a little bit of play in that trigger. Right?
Unless
this is a trigger.
You wouldn't be able to do that with my AR.
Nope. I've shot that thing.
Some people have modified triggers on their AR, or not even modified. You can buy drop-in triggers that are like set from the factory, ready to go.
Yep.
But if this is a typical trigger, it's got some play, and they call it a wall right before it breaks. So it comes down, hits a wall, and then you push a little bit more on the trigger, and that's when the shot breaks. When the hammer or striker gets released and comes forward, smacking the firing pin, smacking the primer, and shooting the round. All this happens in splits of seconds.
Yes.
And those guys were sitting there like this, playing with the little play area. Let me see. There you go. They were sitting there like this, playing with the little play area.
With it pointed at their crotch.
And I've watched videos of guys shoot themselves in the junk.
I've seen one too. They're probably on that.
Interestingly, back when I was
dumb,
early or late teens, I guess, the Wild West of the internet, it was what we called the paint.
The internet existed back then.
Yes, it took a little bit before it didn't exist the entire time I was a child. But there was a time called the Pain Olympics, and people would purposely do those kind of things. Not like they weren't like playing around it. No, they would purposely just shoot themselves to prove that they can take the pain. Spoiler alert, they couldn't take the pain.
You couldn't take it.
Fun fact, did y'all know that they used to use 22 as riot control? I think you said that a couple podcasts ago.
They did?
Devin, didn't you say that a couple podcasts ago? Maybe? I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't remember if I saw it on yours or not.
I think, yeah, it was considered crowd control for a while.
That's dumb.
And so, right, and that was like back in the 50s.
Yeah.
So to anyone who thinks that
Yeah,
22
they
is
were-
a good concealed carry gun for self-defense, it used to be considered crowd control,
Yeah, they.
which is
Which I-
non-lethal.
Which is weird because I can only imagine the meeting. It's like, look at this thing; it can't hurt anyone.
Right.
It's like,
And then they mowed down a riot, and then it's like,
it's like, ooh, maybe it can go through somebody,
they're like, it's just like that meme with that puppet that's in there, like,
right? It's like, ooh.
it's like that.
But-
That was one of the worst things to find out the hard way.
Oh, man.
But like I said, it used to be considered a crowd control device, which means it's a less than lethal option at that time. So anyone who's like, well, 22 is just as good as a concealed carry as any other round, no.
Well, I used to. It was funny when we used to get a lot of people that would come into our range, and apparently in rap music, the deuce, the 22 LR, the deuce, they hyped this thing up, right? So whenever these guys they listen to rap music, they come in, they're like, hey, I want to shoot that deuce, and they're like, you mean a 22? They're like, yeah, I want to see what it's like. You know how big that is? And he's like, yeah, come on, it's like 20, it's a hardcore. And I was like, and they pulled out the round, it's like, that's a 22. Like, man, they lie to us on music. And so it's like,
that's why you don't get your gun information from rappers or from any musicians for that matter, because unless you're listening to Ted Nugent, okay, the dude's a serious gunhead. The guy loves guns. Go ahead and take his advice with a grain of salt.
I wouldn't. Don't take his advice, but he might know a thing or two.
Yeah, there you go. That'll work too.
Trust but verify.
Verify hard. There was a. Speaking of rappers, though, I actually taught Fetty Wap how to shoot.
Really?
Yeah, he came into our range and they
This
needed.
guy's name dropped.
They needed a. He ain't gonna watch the show. He came over and with his weird eye, he came in. He wanted. Apparently, he had in one of his music videos he had shot like a Glock 18.
Mm-hmm.
So he wanted to shoot a full auto Glock.
I was gonna say Glock 18 is a full auto,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. Now, obviously, it was fake in the music video.
Yeah, it was probably a
So he
19
went-
with a switch on it.
No. It was like as in like it was a prop.
It was a fake gun.
It was
Oh.
a prop.
Oh,
right.
they just added sound effects. and
Yeah,
special
we're
effects
yeah
and
we're doing
stuff.
whatever,
Yeah.
right? Because it was just for a video. So he wanted to come in and actually shoot a real one. Now we didn't have a real Glock 18, but we did have a 19 that was modified to go full auto.
Yeah.
So it had a little switch on the back.
Yeah.
So I went in. He wanted to shoot it. Showed him how to shoot, showed him how to aim it, how to control it.
Yeah.
And we had the extended magazine and everything. So I think he had it was like a 30-round magazine.
Dang.
And I sent him, all right, send it. I didn't know who the heck the guy was at the time until one of the people who run the front desk came in. They're like, "Do you know who you just?" Because they were like a big Fetty Wap fan. Do you know who you just taught? I'm like, no. It's like, I don't care.
Some
do I
dude with
care?
a weird eye. That's
It's like, so
and
But-
I bet you, I can almost guess your reaction. He's like, that's Fetty Wap, and you're like,
who?
Who?
okay.
That's literally who. I was like, who? It's like she's like, she had like, because they listened to his music like during the day, like on the speakers,
Yeah.
and so they like told me like one of the music that I would recognize. I'm like, oh, that's that. Oh, okay, cool, whatever. His music is trash. It's like I don't listen to that stuff. So I guess that's cool.
And bear in mind, too, in those rap videos, they're also the ones that typically started like
Yeah.
this whole thing. Shit
Yeah.
Like that. Fun fact, I did try this at like
Trash. trash accuracy.
Yeah, well, I actually did try this at like 10 yards, I think. Where was that range, at the range we normally go to? I don't want to say it here because it's close, but that short pistol range, what was that, like 15 yards, 10 yards?
Yeah, it's about about
20.
15, I think.
15? Yeah, 15 yards. I did nail the guy in the
I think they have a 15 and a 25.
Yeah. So, yeah, at about 15 yards, I did shoot the guy in the lung.
Yeah.
Doing it like this. But the snap on that, it sucks.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a reason why you don't shoot like that.
Yes. Probably a
But-
variety of reasons.
But yeah, so that's all 4. So
that's the gun rules, ladies and gentlemen. Listen.
Plus some bonus content.
Right, and we're gonna go over them real quick. Just treat every firearm if it's loaded. Keep your finger off the trigger. I know I said funny stuff. Keep your booger picker off the bang hook. You know what I mean. Stop wiping your boogers on me. Never point a firearm at anything you don't. Oh gosh. Never point your firearm at anything you don't want to destroy.
It's Christmas.
No, you better shut your mouth. I rebuke that in Jesus' name. Know your target and what's beyond it.
bleep that out.
Know your target and what's beyond it. This is one thing that we really didn't talk about, but at least I don't think we didn't hit on it too much. But you are responsible for every single round that leaves your muzzle, right? Like Devin was talking about there. If you go to shoot somebody in your house, he breaks in your house. He's in the doorway. You can clearly make out a firearm. You take aim. You shoot. If you're shooting him with a 50 Desert Eagle or a 50 AE Action Express, and that crap goes through him into your neighbor's house and kills your neighbor too, guess what? You're going to get charged with homicide. 100%.
Manslaughter.
Manslaughter. Well, they might try homicide. They might try
I think that's
murder
third
3.
degree. I think that's third degree homicide.
Think so?
They might.
I think it's almost. I think it's. I
it
think
depends on.
they might try to get you with that, but I think it'll probably
It'll
go
end up on manslaughter, yeah.
manslaughter.
But that's what I'm saying. That's a whole bunch of headache you don't want. Why do you want to go through that? You don't.
You're already going to go to You're already going to go to the court for the person, the bad guy.
Right.
You don't want to go to court
Not
for
Only
the
on
good
two
guy.
occasions.
That you know
Right.
what? That's something that a lot of people don't understand is when if you shoot somebody, okay, for breaking into your house or trying to if they are trying to kill you, if they are trying to kill someone you love, and everything you did was completely by the book self-defense, you're still going to go to court for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Kyle Rittenhouse. I know that's a little controversial, but if you look at what he did, not looking at the media, don't look at what the media said on either side because both sides had an opinion.
Yeah,
Opinion.
whether he was supposed to be there or not supposed to be, that's all irrelevant.
Irrelevant. If you look at the facts of what happened, he was actually trying to get away from people and ended up shooting in self-defense.
Yep, and he never went beyond
And
what he needed to do.
Still went to jail, and it was hugely publicized because it was in a riot. So that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, and then when
You're still going to get hooked up. You're still going to go downtown. You're still going to have to give a statement. It's going to be a headache. But as always, protect you and yours.
And just so you know, it could be court on 2 occasions because you can go to criminal court and then get deemed innocent, but then the family of the deceased has the opportunity to file a lawsuit, and you can go to civil court.
Yep.
So have a lawyer. Right.
Yeah.
good one.
Exercise that right 100% of the time. I have a lawyer on standby through Firearms Legal.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and that's what I'm saying, guys. Like, follow these basic gun safety rules, and you should be okay. But in the event that you're not, even if you follow everything right, and you shoot somebody breaking into your house, or you shoot somebody that has a gun pointed at you and is actively trying to kill you, you're still going to go to jail. Even if it's completely obvious self-defense, even if the cop arresting you says, "Hey man, I get it, you did complete self-defense."
Well, you may not go to jail, but you will be going. You will
You're
be.
going to court,
Yeah.
100%.
Well, you go to court, but you will be taken downtown
Yeah.
to find out what happened.
For questioning. questioning.
For questioning, they will, if it's a clear cut in your house,
Which most
self-defense.
of the time it's not.
Yeah, well, but let's say it is, they will usually let you go back home, but you
But
better
you can't leave the country, can't do nothing.
nope, you until this all blows
You're
over.
basically under house arrest until you.
Well, not house arrest, but you are confined to
Yeah.
the area, and
Yeah, you can go to your job. Or
you have to be
whatever,
readily
but-
available.
Yeah, if they call, you come at a moment's notice, and that's if it's a clear-cut case.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean absolutely clear to everybody involved, you did what you had to do. You know what? There's still a lawyer out there that could say, hey, I could argue that case. It wasn't clear cut, blank, or this or that.
Hey, at least we're not in Great Britain, where if a person comes into the house, breaks in the house, comes after you, is trying to hurt you, and you just use a baseball bat to get them away,
It's the same thing.
you are going to prison. You have committed a crime for acting in self-defense.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Even if you swing on somebody,
Mm-hmm.
if I walk up to Eric in Great Britain, give him a whack right to the side of the chin, and he goes, "That's not happening today." Turns around, whacks me back, gets me on the ground, starts doing work. Right? He's still going to jail, according to Great Britain law. I'm not an expert in that. I don't think any of us are.
yeah, I just know what the British told me when I was
Yeah.
teaching them how to do firearms. I learned a lot about.
I've
learned a lot about British laws and European laws through people from Europe,
Right.
just because they come to our range specifically because they can't do it over there.
Yeah.
So, and then they just spill their guts about why they hate their laws over there.
Right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us. Thank you for joining us on this episode. Merry Christmas to you and yours. Yes, we do say Merry Christmas, and if that's controversial to you, feel free to not like the channel. Whatever. Do what you got to do. Don't care. Comment about it. Don't care. Any last words, gents? That was mine.
Yeah, make sure you're good so Krampus doesn't give you coal or sticks.
Krampus?
Yep.
Oh, boy.
Ask Santa for a gun this year.
And with that,
I will build it personally. I am your little...
he's the elf. He's the
I'm
elf.
the little gun elf.
He's the gun elf, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
The firearm elf on a shelf.
Never say that again.
Okay.
All right. On that note, have a Merry Christmas. We'll see you next time.
Latest.